Hey guys, Script here with another video, and if you don't know, of course, today they confirmed a shift in terms of what they're going to be doing in terms of releasing Star Wars projects in the next several years. And for me, the timing of this is extraordinarily interesting, and it goes back to some of my previous videos, if you've seen them, where I believe that they leak certain information as trial balloons to see how social media reacts. But either way, let's take a look at this here. Ahsoka Season 2 confirmed in major Star Wars update. Lucasfilm has officially confirmed that Ahsoka Season 2 is currently being developed by Dave Filoni, George Lucas's protege. I'm so sick of them calling him George Lucas's protege. Like, where is this coming from? Like, does somebody have a link to something where Lucas viewed him that way? I know Lucas really liked him as a guy, and I mean, you don't take a storyboard artist and turn him into a writer if you don't like him as a human being, and he spent a lot of time with him. For all intents and purposes, he could have let him walk, right? Because at the time, George had decided to stop with the storyboards, and so Dave was going to be out of a job, but I guess George liked him enough that he kept him on. Does that make him his protege? Maybe, but there's clearly things that Filoni's doing with the story that George wasn't into. I mean, George didn't want all these Jedi alive after Return of the Jedi, and he didn't want Ahsoka alive. He wanted Ahsoka to be killed by Vader, but Dave said no. So protege is, I think, a pretty loose term. I think at one time maybe, but I think ultimately once Dave got the reins and was given the creative freedom, he basically said, I'm doing what I want. I don't really care what George wants. And I think he kind of treads that line of like, oh, I'm kind of doing what George wants, but I'm still doing what I want, right? And so the media kind of gives him this kind of, oh, but he's doing, it's George's guy. I don't think he is anymore. And I think George has made that pretty clear. He said clearly in interviews, this isn't his story anymore. It's other people's, and he has no say, and that's just the way it is. And he even in one interview talked about where he's sitting there with his wife, where he's talking about how his Star Wars is the original 6 movies, and that's basically it. Which tells me that there was a lot of things in the Clone Wars that he wasn't really thrilled with either. I know he was involved, sort of, he'd come in every couple of weeks for the first few seasons, and then Disney took it over, and then I think at that point, when he saw some of the things that they were doing, he said, no, this isn't really my thing anymore. So, because he doesn't mention that in the interview, he basically says the episodes 1 to 6. So, protege, why are we still using that language? The Ahsoka Disney Plus TV show was a hit for the streaming service and played a crucial part in developing plans around the Mandalorian area. Now, it was a hit to a degree, but it didn't really do that well. Its final episode was along the lines of Andor. So you had a side character, imagine that for a second now. So you have a side character from Rogue One. His show had the same numbers in its finale as Ahsoka, who was like a mainstay in the Clone Wars. All these people grew up with her. All these people love her. Andor was literally a side character in one movie. So I don't see how that's a hit in context for Ahsoka, but whatever. It is what it is. It introduced Lars Mikkelsen as the live-action Grand Admiral Thrawn, the main villain of this part of the Star Wars timeline, which, again, it's just so poorly written. I mean, the Ahsoka show. So, Lucasfilm has finally confirmed that Dave Filoni is now working on Ahsoka Season 2. This will presumably continue from Ahsoka Season 1 ending, with Star Wars Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano and Natasha Liu Bordizzo's Sabine Wren stranded in a distant galaxy on the planet Peridia. Ahsoka Season 2 will presumably be developed alongside The Mandalorian and Grogu, confirmed as the next Star Wars movie. I don't think Season 1 was very good. I think that every Star Wars show, and I've said this, and you can go back and you can watch all my reviews, these shows are actually quite terrible. But all of them, if they had shrunk it down to, say, 2 hours total runtime, it would have at least been okay. They still would have had a lot of stupid stuff in them, but it at least would have flowed better, and we wouldn't have had episodes that, like, the filler. Dave Filoni is a master at filler, and he did it with Clone Wars, and he's doing it now. It's filler episode after filler episode, and then almost nothing happens. And if you think about the Ahsoka show, so you had hours upon hours upon hours of footage. I think something like 6.5 hours or something total. And all that happened was they realized there were still Empire sympathizers that were doing things they should have been doing in the New Republic. And then Ahsoka goes to the New Galaxy to find Thrawn, or Ezra, which in turn ends up with Sabine's decision making it so Thrawn comes back to the old galaxy. That's literally in 6.5 hours what happens. Not a lot happens. Cut her down, make it smaller. But they don't do that because, again, it's about milking. It's about filler episodes to keep you waiting and keeping you tuning in, and then that leads to revenue, yada, yada, yada. There's been speculation for months over Ahsoka Season 2, with Rosario Dawson recently claiming she's heard no news. It's exciting to finally have confirmation that this is in the works, and it will clearly play a role in Lucasfilm's ongoing story. The end of Ahsoka Season 1 revealed the mysterious planet Peridia is somehow tied to the Mortis gods, cosmic avatars who represent aspects of the Force. Comments suggest development is in the early stages. So that's the end of the article. What I really wanted to talk about, though, was this change. So it says in this article, the next movie now is going to be the Mandalorian movie. And so the Mandalorian movie is now bumped up ahead of the Rey movie. So all the talk was that the Rey movie was going to come out and they were in the works and they're going to start shooting in April, and now it gets pushed back. And now the latest news is that no, in fact, it's pushed back even further and they're going to go with Mando. Do you think, as a viewer, that this was a organic decision that was always in the works, or did they change their minds because of the backlash from the Rey movie and the decision to hire this director? Now, I will say that is an aspect of it, but if you look at my last video about the rumors about the plot, so the rumors about the plot were put online by WDW. He's been pretty good with his predictions. And so my stance is that, yes, there's the backlash, but there's also been a lot of talk about the leaks. And a lot of people are going like, what is the point of this movie? Like, why are they making this? This is dumb. I think that they trial ballooned the stuff about Rey. They trial ballooned the plot line to some extent, whatever it was that he was given that we also received in terms of what it was going to be. And then they saw the reaction and went, no, we're going Mando, because Mando right now is the safest they have. So Mando season 3 also failed to live up to expectations. It had lower ratings. People didn't like it. People thought season 3 sucked compared to the first 2 seasons. Personally, I saw the writing on the wall, but people really were with Mando up until season 3. So season 3 was not even close to as well received right after the finale in season 2, where Luke shows up and all that stuff, and people weren't super into the way season 3 ended. But even though season 3 of Mando wasn't that well received, at the current state that they're in, it's the safest place they can go right now. I think if they went right into a Rey movie, they're totally screwed. The Rey movie, I don't think no matter what they do, even if they put Ben in it, they'll get the Reylos, but they're not going to get anybody else. I think people are done with the sequel trilogy arc of Rey, lack thereof, I should say. And so, yeah, you'll get some Reylos, you'll make a little bit of money, but it's not really going to do much. So I think they're banking on this hope that The Mandalorian... But let's stop and think about where The Mandalorian ended after season 3. So after season 3, we had another finale where Grogu sticks his hand out and everybody survives and everything's good. Again, that's going to continue, right? Because he's so overpowered that it doesn't matter. No enemy can do anything. He just sticks his hand out. And now they're living on the little tract of land and whatever, they're sitting there. So where does it go from here? And I guess there's endless possibilities, but are any of the possibilities that they're going to look at interesting? And as the viewer, I'm like, it's over. Like, they're at home now. He's his dad. He's sitting there. By the way, it was ridiculous in the last scene that he still had his helmet on. Like, what are you doing? There's no one there. You're in the middle of nowhere on this tract of land with your son. That's one of the other criticisms of this whole helmet nonsense. Check out my my reviews of The Mandalorian season 3. I have Ahsoka season 1 every episode. There's something to be said when they are banking on a TV show character that was not super well received in its final season as the next movie. And you guys let me know in the comment section. To me, this is just, they are burying this. They're making such poor decisions over and over and over and over again, and it just seems to never end. And they don't seem to know what they're doing at all. And they're trying to like maneuver around EU storylines and other things out there that other people have come up with, and then intermingling their characters that they came up with, and then it's almost like they're trying to fool people into thinking that they are like creative geniuses. The other thing I would say is, obviously season 2 was going to be confirmed when Filoni was given the head creative. Well, here's the expectation. I'll end on this. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. So the expectation is this. They come out with season 2 of Ahsoka, then they come out with the Mando movie. There's some tie-ins there, but it's going to be mediocre reception. I don't think it's going to make a ton of money. It's going to be meh. Okay, it's going to be okay. Just like the season 2 finale of Ahsoka was meh. It was enough money to justify making the show. It was enough viewership to justify making the show, but certainly was not a win, especially for Star Wars. Mandalorian movie will do the exact same thing. It'll be a meh situation. Then they'll dive into the Rey movie. That will be an absolute disaster. And then I think finally after that, I do think things are going to change at Lucasfilm. I know Kennedy must know where the bodies are buried because I've never even heard of a CEO, let alone shareholders, allowing somebody to completely bury something that was supposed to make so much money for them. And again, somebody on Twitter was like, oh, they've made $6 million off the movie, $6 billion off the movies. Bro, they bought the IP for $4 billion. They spent at least 2.5 to 3 billion producing those movies and marketing them. That's a loss. So they at least spent $7.5 probably billion. That's a loss. So they are really, really in big trouble here. And this was all done because of the reception of the Rey movie. And so they changed things up. And this is what they do. And it's so obvious, guys. Like, if you actually think that any of this is planned anymore, everything's on off the cuff. Everything's on a whim. Everything's just feeling out the situation on social media and making decisions, even though those decisions seem to be even worse than the initial decisions. So you guys let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Is this going to be good? Do you want this? Are you actually excited about a Mando movie? Or did season 3 kind of let you know that it kind of sucked? Let me know what you think. Do you think the Rey movies has any chance of success? Please comment down below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. And check out any of my other Star Wars content, including my Ahsoka season reviews and my Mandalorian episode reviews. They're not just reviewing, they're actually funny as well. I try my best to be lighthearted about this, despite the fact they've destroyed my favorite IP since I was a kid. So yeah, anyways, check all that out. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a really good day.